I want to turn back to this.
Mr. Trump, I'm so grateful for you to bring me home and for American government. And I never felt more blessed to be American, and I'm so happy to get home. Thank you.
Welcome home.
Thank you so much.
That's so wonderful. So this American-Russian ballerina, Ksenia Karolina, forgive me if I said that wrong, she's back home. So she had gone over to Russia on a vacation. She had apparently contributed $51 to a Ukraine charity, and they discovered that, and they found her, and they held her for like a while, like a couple of years. Biden was not able to get her out. I don't even know if he tried. It was kind of a crazy story. And maybe it worked for Biden's agenda in some way, right? Because you could say, oh, see how terrible Putin is. And anyway, it was a priority to Trump's to get her out of there. And sure enough, he did. So it's wonderful. She's back home. She's so happy. She's reunited with her husband and her family. And I just wonder if this actually creates a little bit of a thaw in terms of the negotiations that are going on vis-a-vis Russia and Ukraine and Europe, because you see what he tweeted out. He put this on Truth, and then it was also on Twitter. Russia has to get moving. Too many people are dying, thousands a week, in a terrible and senseless war, a war that never should have happened and wouldn't have happened if I had been president. I mean, that's actually really true. I think he would have found a way to have diplomatically managed that, because it's actually a tragedy what's going on there. Anyway, his envoy was over in Russia today, meeting with none other than Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin put this one out. Anyway, this is Steve Witkoff there in Russia. Let's just take a look. You can see he's waiting for Putin, and Putin comes out and says hello. They shake hands, and this is a good photo op. It's a good opportunity. We have the American ballerina, back here at home. That's a good sign. These guys are talking, and you know what? Talking's important because we want this whole ordeal to end. Do we not? I mean, I think we do. Does Europe? I don't know. I mean, and that actually begs the question of where Europe is in all of this, because I suspect there's more fragility than you would believe with the EU. We saw it tested with the European debt crisis after 2008. They weren't so happy because the Germans had all this money, and the Greeks, they weren't paying their taxes, and it just looked like a mess. And I always said, I don't understand this. You have that many different countries with that many different languages, and they're all committing to the same structure, financial structure with the euro, the same currency, but you don't have like an Alexander Hamilton that's really and truly uniting them as a nation, right? We are the United States of America, even though it doesn't feel like it sometimes, even though you get your lefties that are constantly suing the Trump administration because they want to be able to keep the criminals here and open the borders. Go figure. I mean, at least, we are supposed to be one. Europe is really not. And so that becomes a very, I think, precarious thing when you're tested on issues like trade. And they are being tested on issues like trade. Very interestingly, Giorgia Meloni, who's the prime minister of Italy, and she seems to have a little bit more, dare I say, in common with, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and seems to be, she's more of a conservative. If you can be a conservative in Europe, Italy's got one. So she's coming here next week to help negotiate a trade deal, theoretically on behalf of Europe. But, some people are like, gosh, is Giorgia Meloni going to negotiate something else for Italy? So Italy comes out on top. I mean, there's going to be a lot of speculation, again, because I think that people wonder whether or not the EU is as fragile as we think. I was amazed shortly after we announced that we were going to put more tariffs. Don't forget, if you go through how that went down with China, it was like, okay, we're going to put 67%. And then they came back with, let me see if I have these numbers right, maybe like 34%. And then we came back with 104%. They came back with 84%. And we came back with 145%. We come back with that. And what happens? Europe runs and kisses up to China. They're like, we love you, China. We love you, China. And I'm like, oh, really, guys? I mean, didn't we spend like a ton of money? We spent a lot of money. You know how much money it would cost if Europe has to defend itself against Russia? Minimum 250 euros. And that would be like 3.5% of GDP. So that's not going to be so pretty for Europe. But look, they don't care. They don't remember. You had Ursula von der Leyen out there in Brussels saying that they were going to hold a a big deal like EU-China summit. Diplomatic relations between EU and China were going to be great because they were going to promote all these high-level dialogues about green energy. I'm sorry. Like, it just makes me laugh because they're so delusional on this stuff. Anyway, they kind of sort of tipped their hand, if you would, at that moment in time. It's like, hey, who needs enemies in China when you have friends in Brussels, right? I mean, come on, guys. We matter, though. We matter to China. We're like $500 billion. Actually, this number's updated. I'll give you more updated numbers. It's like $580 billion that we're worth to China, which is a lot more. Well, it might be almost, the EU's catching up in terms of its consumer abilities, but we're still the number one. And by country, we're certainly number one. So new questions now about what happens if, in fact, the 90 days come and go, and we haven't reached enough agreements, certainly with biggies like, important blocs like the EU or others. Here's what Donald Trump said on it very transparently in a press conference just yesterday.
President, if you aren't able to reach the deals that you want to see at the end of the 90 days, will you put those higher tariffs in place or will you extend the pause?
That's what would happen. I mean, if we can't make the deal that we want to make or we have to make or that's good for both parties, it's got to be good for both parties.
You wouldn't,
and then we go back to where we were.
Go back to the numbers that you announced last week.
I think
you
so.
wouldn't extend the pause?
No. We'll have to see what happens at that time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So we'll see what happens at that time. I would say this. He's very flexible. He remains flexible. I mean, the market went up today. The market's going to go up. The market's going to go down. Our friend Don, if you're still in the chat, I know he was a former options trader. So it's a whole different ball game. We may do something on that, actually, Don at 76 Research, because one of my very dear friends was also an options trader and is loving this moment. He's like, I love the vol, right? The volatility is everything. And there's been a ton of volatility, most definitely. And so for traders that are options traders, like Don or my friend, you can get in and out of the market in that kind of scenario. And my friend loves it, right? Like he advises that. I, on the other hand, am more about the more conservative dollar cost averaging, and we've identified a bunch of companies that we really like and some spaces that we really like. So I encourage you to go get that information, just $1 a month at 76research.com, especially in a time like this with everything going on. I mean, there is all this market volatility, and I expect it to continue. I really, really, really do.